Hi, this is Umair. I'm back with another AngularJS tutorial. In this tutorial, I will be developing this small base converter application. If you have studied number systems, then you must know the decimal numbers which starts from 0 to 9, the binary numbers 1 and 0, the octal numbers which starts from 0 to 7, the hexadecimal numbers which starts from 0 to 9, and A to F. So let's see what I will be developing. You can see that if I write anything, make sure you write numbers from 0 to 9, and it's gonna change and convert this number into binary, octal and hexa. If I change the binary number 10, it's gonna change and convert the numbers into decimal, octal and hexa. Same is with the octal and same is with the hexa. Alright, so this is what I'm going to be developing. It's very interesting, it's very small application, but you are going to learn a lot from this tutorial. So let's start. The IDE that I'm going to use for this is WebStorm. I have already created an empty project, but you can use other IDEs as well. You can see that I have created base converter app. I'm going to be making the interface first. So let's create an HTML file. Let's name it index and create a CSS file. Let's name it style. So I'm gonna change the title first. That has to be base converter. Alright, let's add the link, style sheet, and href. That has to be style. And I'm gonna give a link, a reference to my online CDN for the AngularJS file. Alright, so I'm just gonna copy it and paste it right here. If you wanna add it in your code, you can just Google it, the CDN of AngularJS. You will find this link. Okay, so let's leave it first. Now we need a heading and 4 text boxes. So we have a body, and inside the body we are going to add a div that has to have a class of container, and inside this div element I have a heading tag, base converter, input type text. It has a placeholder that has to be decimal, and let's keep it like this and copy it 3 more times. Alright, I'm gonna change its placeholder to binary, octal and hexa. Alright, so let's see what we have now. We're gonna write the CSS to style it a bit. Okay, so now let's go to the styles and write some CSS. I'm not gonna explain you all these HTML and CSS because I'm assuming that you should already know. Alright, and now I have a container class. This is display block. Background has to be alright, 4, max width 650 pixels, margin top has to be 20 pixels, margin left, let's do it auto, and I want to give it some padding as well, 10 pixels, 10 pixels. Alright, let's change it to 40, and I'm gonna text align. That has to be center, position relative, and Let's change the font family, sans serif, and font size as well. So font size is 15 pixels. Alright, so that's it for container. Let's see if we have any change. So we have this one. Let's complete it a bit. Alright, and then we will see if it's working fine. We have a H1 and its size has to be font size 40 pixels, font weight that has to be 200 pixels, line height 100%, padding top 10 pixels, font weight, and it has to be, let's say, 700, font family, let's leave it, and color, let's give it a color dark gray, and I would say like 555 459. Alright, and margin top 20 pixels, margin bottom, it has to be 20 pixels as well. Okay, now we have a last thing, that is our input tag. We want to style it, so let's add input. Its width have to be 100% and its display inline block, font weight 100, font size that has to be 20 pixels, margin 5 pixels and 0 pixel, and now color has to be dark gray, and I would say 3F 3F 3F. Alright, so I think that's being done, and let's go and reload it. It's done, but it's not in the center, so let's see how we can bring it to the center where we are wrong. So actually I needed to add a margin right as well, so it has to be auto as well, just like margin left. So make sure you add it as well, and make sure you add the padding of input tag as well. Now if I go and reload it, you can see that it has come to the center of my screen. Alright, so we have created our interface. Alright, now let's create a new JavaScript file, and I'm gonna name it app. Alright, and inside it I'm gonna write some Angular code. If you have already some experience of Angular, you must know that there is a framework called MVC, Model View Controller, that we use in writing Angular code. Okay, so now let's start, and first I'm gonna create a module, Angular.module. Every application should have a module, and in order to write it, alright, so we have created a module, and with the help of this module we should create a controller for our application. We can have more than one controller, but right now we are just creating one controller. So with the help of module, I'm gonna create a controller, and I'm gonna name it controller, my controller. Alright, and after that I'm gonna add an array, its dependency Alright, this blank square brackets shows that uh, our application is dependent to this, everything that we write inside it. Right now we don't have any dependency, so we are leaving it empty. Alright, so we have a scope, we have a filter, and then we have a function that is gonna receive the scope and filter. Alright, so we are going to use the scope and filter. I don't see that I'll be using filter, but let's write it so that if we may need to write filter, we have already added it in our scope. Okay, now let's create 4 variables and bind those variables with our input text boxes. Alright, so in order to create the scope variables, let's create decimal and change its value to empty. Alright, I'm gonna copy it and paste it 3 more times and name it binary, octal, and hexa. Alright, and I'm gonna bind all of these scope variables with my input element. Alright, it's gonna create and edit a two-way binding with those input elements. So I'm gonna copy it, and in order to bind those variables with these input text boxes, I need to use a directive called ng model. Alright, and inside it I'm just gonna name it decimal, the name of that variable, and I'm gonna copy it and paste it in other input text boxes, and I'm gonna change the name to binary, octal, and hexa. Alright, so but right now you might be thinking that how does this file know that these values belong to this file? Alright, so you can see that I have added an Angular file. Right now I need to add a script file right here as well for reference of this app.js file. So I'm gonna write type text over JavaScript and source has to be app.js. Now we have added the reference. Now we need to, there can be more than one controllers. How does it know that this HTML belongs to this particular controller? Alright, so what we need to do is we need to add a model first. Alright, so in order to add a model we can use ng app directive and name the model right here. Alright, this is the name of this model. Okay, and after that I'm gonna add a controller with the directive ng controller, and I'm gonna name it ng controller. Make sure you spell it well, and this is this value. Alright, it's better if you copy and paste it so that there is no spelling mistake. Alright, now if I run this code, this HTML code will execute with the scope of this controller. Alright, I can write the controller within this module tag, but it's fine if I write both the things in the same element. Alright, so that's been done. There is a spelling mistake, model, that has to be MODEL. Alright, now these values are binded with each other. Alright, now let's reload it. You will not see anything happening right here because I'm not showing anything output. Alright, now what we can do is we want to know that if any of these values have been changed or not. If I write decimal value, our Angular should know if the decimal value has been changed or not. If it's changed, it should convert that value into binary, octal, and hexa and show those values into other 3 text boxes, and same with the other boxes. Okay, So there is a function inside Angular called watch that detects if any of these variables have been changed or not. Alright, because these variables are binded with this input tag. Alright, and if we write anything inside it, the value of this variable will also be changed. Alright, so let's try and write some code and detect if there is a change or not. So scope dot dollar watch, and inside it I'm gonna write the name of that variable, function, and it has a callback function that will return two values, new value and old value. Alright, so inside it, let's check if we change the value of the decimal text box, it should show the output inside console. Alright, now let's save it and reload it. I'm gonna press F12 and it's gonna show the console. You can see that it has shown ABC. Now I'm gonna change the value of decimal. You can see that it is detecting that I am changing the value. Alright, so we have got the value of this. We are detecting it's getting changed. Alright, now there is a function called toString inside JavaScript that can convert decimal value or any other base value to any other base. Alright, right now we are receiving our value inside this new value. Alright, so we're gonna use this value and convert it into binary and store that result value into this variable. Alright, so let's add scope dot binary equals to, this is a string, we first need to convert it into integer in order to convert it into binary. Okay, so parse and new value, and what is the base of this current value? We have a decimal. Alright, we want to convert it into that decimal, and then toString 2 is the base of binary and 10 is the base of decimal that we are receiving. Alright, now let's go and check it. If we change the value of decimal, let's close it. Alright, we are gonna resolve this issue right now, but let's leave it as it is. Now I'm gonna write this, so you can see that as I'm writing the decimal value, it's converting that value into integer, and then after converting it into integer, it's converting it into binary. Alright, and then storing it into this variable. Alright, and this variable is binded to this input text box, and it's gonna change the value inside it. Alright, now let's copy it and write it 2 more times and change it to 8, because the second time we want to convert this decimal value into octal, and then 16 for the hexa, and store the value of octal into octal variable and hexa into hexa variable. Alright, now let's go and check it if it works or not. So guys, you can see that it's converting right now. I'm gonna just change it to uppercase because I like to see to uppercase. Alright, so I'm gonna copy it and paste it again, and I'm gonna check if the binary value have been changed or not. Alright, and I'm receiving the binary value and I want to convert it into decimal and store it into decimal variable. So if the binary value has been changed, it's gonna return the new value. Alright, and inside this watch function, I'm gonna convert that binary value into decimal value. The base of decimal is 10. Alright, so now let's go and write something inside it. Alright, so you can see that it's converting the decimal value, but you might be thinking that why it's converting the octal and hexa value. there is a trick. Alright, the thing is, I'm not gonna convert this binary value into octal and hexa. I'm just converting the decimal value. So what it's doing is, as I'm changing the binary value, it's changing the decimal value right here. And when the decimal value is going to change, this watch function is going to detect that decimal value is getting changed, and this event will occur. And when this event will occur, it's going to convert that decimal value into octal and hexa. Alright, so we don't need to convert the octal and hexa from here as well. Alright, so same thing we will do with other four things. Alright, so octal, if octal have been changed, if a hexa variable is changed, and I'm gonna convert it into, convert from 8 to 10 and then 16 to 10. Alright, and I'm gonna store it, again I'm gonna store it to the decimal because I want also convert into the other bases as well. Now let's go and reload it. Now I'm gonna change the octal, it's gonna change the decimal, and then decimal is gonna change it into binary and hexa. If I change the hexa, it's gonna change the decimal, and when the decimal value is changed, it's gonna also going to change the binary and the octal. So it's working. So now let's go and resolve some issues. If I reload this page, it's showing the NaN. Alright, so now let's go. So first we need to know if there should be a value inside a new value. If I reload the page, there is no value inside it. Alright, right now. So that's why it's showing the NaN, because there is no value in these variables. So I need to detect if new value is not equals to empty, then run this code. Alright, else just keep it to empty. Okay, now if I reload it, you can see that there is nothing happening because I also needed to add a check inside the binary watch, octal watch and hexa watch. Okay, so let's go, and I'm gonna just copy it, paste it. Alright, else, and I'm gonna write scope dot decimal equals to empty, and I'm gonna write it as well, and I'm gonna copy it and paste it right here. Alright, and same thing I need to do with hexa. Copy the else and paste it right here. So that's been done. Now let's see if we have the accurate result or not. If I reload it, you can see that there is no NaN. Alright, and as I write anything inside decimal, you can see that it's converting. If I write anything into binary, it's converting. If I write anything into octal, it's converting, and same is with the hexa. So guys, that's done. I haven't added the check or a filter right now in order to add restriction for the user so that the user may not enter any false value inside any of these text boxes, because decimal only contains 0 to 9 and 1 0 for binary and 0 to 7 for octal and 1 to 9 and then A to F. So these are the accurate values for these number systems. So if you want to validate these text boxes, you can check out my other video, validate form in AngularJS, where I have shown you how to validate forms. Alright, so how to add filters, how to validate form manually and automatically as well. So if you like it, make sure you share it with your fellows. That will really encourage me to make more videos, and thumbs up this video, comment below if you have any question. Thanks for watching this video.